against the evil mechanoids. "Come in," he called in response to a quiet tap on his bedroom door. His mom entered, carrying a tray of food. Luke glanced at the meal. Vegetarian again. His parents hadn't cooked him meat for almost a year now. "Got onto the next level yet?" his mom asked, putting the tray down on the desk. Luke shook his head. "I've gotten rid of the robot generals, but I need to kill the overlord before I can progress to the mothership." Mrs. Watson sat down on the bed. She said nothing for a while, then softly cleared her throat. "I spoke to Stephen Black's parents." "I thought Dad was going to call them." "He's not back from work yet," explained his mom. Luke tried unsuccessfully to hide the irritation in his voice. "Figures." "Stephen told his parents he hurt his chest climbing over a barbed wire fence," said his mom. Luke concentrated on the game. Silent. "Why him, Luke? You've got few enough friends at school as it is." "He's no friend," snapped Luke, throwing the gamepad onto the bed. "He's a bully. He stole some girl's bag on the way home from school. I was just trying to get it back for her. There was no reason for him to turn on me." "He didn't know what would happen," said his mom. "He didn't know that you would—" She sighed, leaving the sentence unfinished. "The scratches aren't deep," she said. "It's going to be okay. This time." Luke studied his mom as she picked up the gamepad and did her best to fight a battalion of robots wielding laser guns. Neither of his parents had smiled for a long time. Not since he had first transformed into a werewolf. "You know," he said with a grin, "you suck at this game." Mrs. Watson punched him playfully on the arm as he snatched the controls from her. "You only ever press one button at a time, but if you press a combination—" A smash came from downstairs. Luke bounded down the stairs 2 at a time and skidded to a halt. The living room and hall were full of blonde-haired men packing the family's belongings into crates and carrying furniture out of the house. Each wore a shimmering purple jumpsuit with G.H.O.U.L printed across the back. One of the men was clearing up the remains of a broken vase. Luke's dad, just home from work, was struggling to pull the pieces away from him. The man simply raised a hand and pressed it over Mr. Watson's eyes. Luke watched in terror as his dad crumpled to the floor. "Mike!" yelled Luke's mom, rushing in. She dropped to her knees beside her husband and grabbed his wrist, checking for a pulse. The blond man laid his palm over her face, and she too collapsed with a moan. Luke raced across the room, fighting to get to his parents. One of the men gripped his arm and pulled him back so that 2 of his colleagues could pass by with a large picture. They stepped over Mr. and Mrs. Watson as if they were nothing more than lumps in the carpet. Luke grabbed the shoulder of the man whose touch had knocked out his parents, spinning him around. "What have you—" The words stuck in his throat. The man's head had no features, no eyes, nose, ears, or mouth. Just a smooth layer of skin. Luke glanced around the room. All the men were the same. "Who are you?" he demanded, backing away. He fell onto the sofa, kicking out as the man pressed 3 fingertips to the side of his head. Luke suddenly became aware of a voice flooding his mind. "We are the movers," said the voice. "You are being moved." Luke stared up into the featureless face. "Why?" "You attacked a boy." "But he got away when I—" Luke stumbled over his words. "When the wolf chased the Chihuahua. He won't tell anyone about me, honest." The explanation made no difference. The mover pulled his